All right, everybody, this will be a warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024, part 65. Sorry, I cut 64 off kind of quick there in the end. Rushed it. Was running out of storage on my phone there, so it was only going to let me record so much. But I've taken care of that problem. So the point I was trying to make with Farrakhan and his the enemy stuff and everything, and you know, people get along until we get cranks like that, whether they're white or black or Hispanic, whatever they are. You know, Farrakhan's good at pointing out, you know, white supremacy, KKK, Nazis, this and that, everything. Um, Also, it's hard on the Jewish people, but whether it's because there is ideologies within Judaism, they are the chosen people. Everyone else is goyim, created to serve them, etc. Still following those old things they believe in. Then you had like Hitler and his whole master race thing. And you got Farrakhan with his black supremacy thing. And you rail against the others and you teach the same thing. It's the same exact freaking thing. Now, the founding fathers of this country, most of them were white Christian, but some of them, like Jefferson, were deists. That is why our founding documents read the way they do, and that they say all men are created equal. They knew slavery was not right. Yes, a lot of them were slave owners, but it wasn't all roots. You do understand that book and the movie and the series and everything, that was fiction, right? The only people who got rich from slavery in this country were the plantation owners. All the other wealth went overseas. This country did not become rich until after the world wars, and we were the only industrial power left. And until all the World Bank and the Federal Reserve and all that kind of stuff was set up, and monetary systems were set up. But being American, and if you read those documents and everything, and you believe in them, and, I grew up in New Jersey, so the Revolutionary War is very real to people in the Northeast because you can see the battlefields. And you can go to Philadelphia and see the Liberty Bell. And to D.C. and just all over the place, Valley Forge. So you learn it. When I was a kid, I remember I knew black kids that didn't want to learn it. That's your history. That ain't my history. I was brought here. So they never learned anything about the founding fathers. Just that they were slave owners. Not the discussions about getting rid of slavery since the very start of this country. Not anything about what this country did to get rid of slavery in other countries around the world. If we're all the enemy, Mr. Farrakhan, why did so many thousands of us die fighting each other to get rid of slavery? So in growing up where I did and believing what I did, and my mother teaching me we all bleed the same blood and we'll all answer to the same God, not to judge people by the color of their skin. Whenever I've met other people, for the most part, I had no ideas in my head that because I was white, I was better than them. Because being an American, you believe all men are created equal. If our founding documents mean anything to you. But now these days, we got all these homosexuals and these foreigners and stuff and everything in it, putting down the founding fathers, putting down the whole country, everything about it. Much of the world would not have what it has right now if it wasn't for this country. And the capitalist system. Does it need to be tweaked? Refined? Yeah, I'll give you that, because there's a lot of corruption at the top. Wherever there's a lot of money, there's corruption. That's why I say it's not going to matter if it's a socialist system or a capitalist system. You think you're going to have it better under a socialist system? You're going to have it worse, but there's still going to be rich people that have it better than you. Absolutely, positively. And for all those dopehead man hair bun wearing, skinny jean wearing tweakers out there, maybe you ought to ask some people from Germany before they all die off that were trapped behind the Berlin Wall. Maybe you ought to ask some people from Poland what it was like living under communist occupation. Do you think the president of Poland would be having conversations with Donald Trump if Donald Trump was some sort of neo-Nazi fascist? Hello, do you remember Hitler invaded Poland? You take advantage of people who have no education. Has this country done wrong? Yes, it has. Yes, it has. He brought up Tuskegee Airmen. Yep, they did that. They also exposed U.S. soldiers to radiation to see what the effects would be on them during the atomic bomb blasts. They also infected other people with other kinds of stuff. But there was also Africans and Arabs who raided the coast of Ireland and stuff like that and took slaves. They also took slaves from Europe and from the Caucasus. White people as slaves. Now, we had the Revolutionary War. We had the War of 1812. And we were not on good terms with England. And we're even on the verge of kicking them out of Canada. There was a plan to invade Canada and kick the English out of Canada. But we didn't do that. We became great allies, and we helped Europe through two of the bloodiest times in the history of humanity. After World War II, we developed a relationship with Japan, great relationship with Japan. We even have a relationship with Vietnam now, which, by the way, for those of you out there who are so pro-socialist and communist and everything like that, Ho Chi Minh did not set out to be a puppet of the communists, all right? He just wanted an independent Vietnam because they've been dominated by the French and other people and the Japanese and other cultures, Asian cultures, they had struggled for centuries. He just wanted an independent, free Vietnam. And even Kennedy and other people, political people in this nation, he even got support from the CIA in the beginning. But then because of whatever deals were made with the French and stuff like that went on, instead of promoting the freedom of that country, there's a bit where John Kennedy talks about it. But that's when he went to the communists. Is when we turned our back on him and sided with the French. Otherwise, all that crap never would have happened. So are there mistakes made in foreign policy and this and that? And I know it's I'm not trying to, diminish it, the great loss of life and everything for that war and other wars. I think like Trump does, going into Iraq was a mistake. The Iraqi people had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. But Bush made it plain a few times in between all his double talk and everything to secure the oil for the free world. But that's the world we live in. It's unfortunate, but oil is a strategic importance. That is why we spend so much time and effort there trying to make allies and trying to keep Russia and other people out, is because you cannot run a military without oil, without energy. And if you just give that up to another superpower, then you're going to be at their mercy. And so you have to ask yourself a question. The world has to ask themselves a question. Who would you rather be at the mercy of? The USA? Or Russia, China, somebody else? So that's what that's all about. It's just it's a fact of life in this world. Until nations start talking to each other and cooperating more and agreeing to decrease their military budgets and their armies and work on the problems we have, then that's the way it's going to be, dog eat dog. Hopefully someday, hopefully soon, we get to that point where it doesn't have to be that way. But the division in this country has got to stop, whether it's coming from the Ku Klux Klan or Farrakhan or whoever, La Raza, whoever. Because we want to have a secure border and know who's coming into the country does not make us racist. Because there was slavery at one time in this country does not reflect on every single white person in this country as having benefited from it or supported it. The Confederate flag on the General Lee does not mean, woohoo, we won slavery again. And I can't believe they even attacked statues of Abraham Lincoln. Are you kidding me? The founding fathers who fought to establish a nation on this earth that declared that there's a God and that all men are created equal with the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Was no small feat. You can point to other cultures around the world and say they set out the same thing. Maybe. But looking through history, I don't see Africa being integrated and welcoming all people. Maybe some parts after the Arabs took over northern Africa. I don't see China being really integrated. Russia's really not integrated. Other countries, Turkey, no. Around the world. Mexico, South America. You know, slavery, you can look at South America, you can still see, then there's racism down there. There's racism in Mexico. You don't see too many of the African bloodlines in South America, just in certain countries, but throughout Mexico and other places where there was slavery. And in many instances, from what I understand, they were told to leave or die. We didn't do that. The founding fathers and some of the presidents after them, and like Lincoln, had discussions on how to bring up, because the slaves were kept from being educated and this and that and everything, how long it would take them to catch up to where they could be, 100% integrated and educated and take part in society. So while you focus on all the bad things about America, you need to start looking at, there's been a lot of people, abolitionists, politicians, all kinds of people who have pushed forward, a lot of things to try and bring some parity and unity to everybody in this country. Millions of people come here from all over the world. Don't even speak the language. Many of them learn. There's a lot of them don't want to learn it. But just about every Sikh, every person from Pakistan, every person from India, wherever around the world, Asia, within a short amount of time, they learn the language. And they take part in the culture. A lot of them leave, like we've been told by the Democrats. We got to let people in from Central America and Mexico because of the violence, and they're trying to escape all that there. Well, a lot of people come here because it's a pretty safe place to be. Speaking of safe, Canada's had a long free ride. And for them to badmouth this country, not the Canadian, there's a lot of Canadian people I meet that are just like, you know, don't agree anything with their government. But for them to get on their high horse up there and try and lecture us about our society with the free ride they've had, it's just plain ridiculous. The same with Mexico. Mexico sits nice and secure there with us to the north. And then, you know, we got our bases in Panama and stuff. So, you know, who do you have to worry about, Mexico? I don't know. I just don't get it. I'm not patriotic to where I'm blinded. Like I said, you know, I look at what Bush did and stuff, and then it's just awful. I look at what Obama did. Obama bombed the hell out of people all over the place. Obama and Hillary had Muammar Gaddafi executed. Hey, no, ain't none of you riled up about that. What's Donald Trump done but try to get us out of conflicts? So I don't understand the narrative. I think Donald Trump's a very smart guy, you know, very straightforward, you know, pretty much what you see is what what you get. He might not always express what he's trying to say the right way. But to call him a fascist and a neo-Nazi and all the white supremacist and all this kind of crap, you know, in the first place, even if he was, the way the country is set up, it's not a dictatorship. All right? He couldn't install racist policies. He couldn't install Jim Crow laws and all this kind of stuff. And I don't think he's the type of person that would want to. And I think this next election is going to be a very trying time for this country, because as much crap as the left is pushing out there, I'm pretty sure it's a shoo-in now. I don't care what those polls say. You can't tell me Joe Biden has that many people on his bandwagon. Just ain't happening. So I'll say when Donald Trump wins again. So many people are just... You saw how they cried and everything and lost their friggin' marbles when he won. Do you know what it's going to be like this time? And they flapped their gums and flapped. What has he done wrong? What? What has he done wrong? The wall? He wanted to build the wall. Secure our border. What else? What's he done? Brought the economy back. Got many people jobs. Told Europe they got to pay their fair share. I mean, just look at with Korea. At first, oh my God, he's talking to a dictator. He's talking to a dictator. Blah blah blah. All this. Oh, he's too soft. He's too soft over there with so and so, whatever. Then it gets tough. Oh my God, he's gonna get us in the war. He's gonna start World War III. It's just, you know, it's just amazing to watch. Because, like I said, I'm independent. So I'm just like an observer. And it's just amazing when you watch these clips on YouTube of different shows like The View and CNN and all this stuff and everything. It's just absolutely amazing how, it doesn't matter. It could be daytime and you say, hey, look, the sun is out. They'd be no. Same with immigration. You look at Obama and what the Democrats were doing, talking about immigration, the policies and stuff. Other than the Dreamers or whatever, they were cracking down on the border. So it's just, I don't know. And now they're trying to not only divide the country politically, now they're racially. It's like it's 2020, man. It's 2020. This ain't the 60s. All right. It is 60 years later. 60 years. Change doesn't come overnight. For a lot of things. The civil rights movement, to be able to go to the same schools and this and that and eat at the same lunch counter and stuff. And that was only in certain parts of the country. That was in the whole country. But that was a struggle. But eventually it got done. But honest to God, people are people. Meet people out here, drivers or places I deliver to. Most of the warehouses I go, 9 times out of 10 is going to be a Mexican guy or a black guy working the forklift or whatever. So I have a lot of interactions, with quote unquote minorities. And you know what? They don't act like quote unquote minorities. They ain't looking for a handout. They ain't looking for somebody to come and save them. They're not angry as hell at the country or Donald Trump. They just want to work and raise their families. These are guys, if you had the time and everything and lived in the same area, you'd probably go see a ball game with them or something. Or come hang out. We'll watch whatever. We'll watch the game. Large portion of this country's population, no matter what ethnicity they are, get along with everybody of every other ethnicity. These groups, these racial groups, whether they're black or white or whatever, they're on the fringe. The media and social media makes it look like it's a super huge thing. But, when people like Farrakhan or black Israelites and say, white people are the enemy, they're the enemy. You're getting in the heads, not a lot of people, but enough that'll be out there that if they have an interaction with police or something, or an argument with a white person somewhere or something like that, it's not going to go well. You're creating racists, Mr. Farrakhan. You are creating racists. So say, if we're going to have a real discussion about racism in America, let's have a real discussion. Let's put it up on the table. No more bullshit. Racism is not just a white man's disease. Do you understand that? Like I said, most people get along, but I have run into racists from every single race. Who didn't like somebody else, another ethnic group. This is the United States of America. It was founded by our founding fathers and those who fought in the Revolution. They started a nation. It hasn't been perfect. It's had atrocities. But if you read those documents and you see that we can be all-inclusive, we can right our wrongs in a civilized, rational manner, instead of all the alarmism and the name-calling and all that kind of crap. And we can put the past behind us and move forward. It's 2020. Move forward. We're what now since the end of slavery? 40, 50, 60, 160 years? 150 years? What was it, 68? Was the proclamation? 1868? We have to move forward in a rational, civilized manner. Because of these groups, Antifa, these other mobs and stuff like that, keep up what they're doing, sooner or later there's going to come pushback. Violence begets violence. It's that simple. And we do not want to go down that road. I wish you all the best out there. Hopefully, people come to their senses and we can move forward, work on the problems we have,